Aquarius. All right. Welcome to your comprehensive for April. Let's get started with the Two of Swords. Okay. There's a choice to be made here. You're clearly at some kind of a crossroads of consciousness here, a feeling of choices of whatever it is. Now, I don't always see crossroads here. Mostly I see peace, right? And I often look at the person who is holding the swords, who seems to be sitting still. And the sitting still coincides with this sort of surrender energy. We have the moon, which coincides with the intuition energy. And I feel like a wait and see approach actually would be really beneficial for you. Okay, so whatever situation you find yourself in at some point, might not be at the beginning of April. Some of you might not know what the heck I'm talking about quite yet. But if at some point, okay, something occurs and you don't know what to do, and this King of Cups over here is trying to do something to fix the problem, I would highly recommend not doing that and not taking, especially if it's, trying to fix with someone else. Obviously, take care of your stuff, pay your bills, do your thing, go to work. I'm not trying to tell you to quit your life, but if there's something that is beyond your control, it is not your problem. Someone's feelings get hurt. It's not really your responsibility, right? We all have to be responsible for our own stuff because you're on a journey. A big one, a really important one, an important one in your life. We have the Nine of Cups, we have the Eight of Cups, we have the Ten of Coins. This is a journey toward happiness. It's a journey toward satisfaction is my favorite word this month because that's really what it's about. It's about being satisfied with your life, and this might just be an ebb, maybe mostly you're satisfied, but something comes in and, stirs the pot and you're going to have to, make some big decisions. And I think many of you are going to choose to get uncomfortable now. Because I'm sorry, you don't have a choice. Death, the environment, maybe it's not a choice. It's just gonna happen. Boom, you're gonna get pushed. Especially as the sun comes into a square with Pluto near the end of Aries season, right before the sun enters into Taurus on the 19th. So mid-April. We've got a journey toward this ultimate in joy and abundance and happiness, okay, toward the Ten of Coins. And it's beautiful. But the environment is crazy, okay? Other people, I'm like, oh, not surprised, because when I held up that death card in the general, I was like, you're going to have to get out that Saturnian sickle and start chopping things down and start cutting people off. And because man, oh man, this is a lot of swords, and they're not like the good sword cards, right? The 10 of Swords, the 7 of Swords, the 5 of Swords, all of these energies can be very tricky to navigate. They can be difficult to deal with. You're dealing with other people's mental blocks, and it just can be like a whole big thing. And that's what, the death is really all about, is cleansing and clearing yourself from all of that old toxic BS kind of energy. And unfortunately, there can be some very good intentioned people with good intentions. But if they're doing their good intentions with low consciousness, sometimes it's still not good enough. Sometimes it's still not conducive to what you're trying to create in your life. I think one of the hardest things that we as human beings have to do is to recognize someone's goodness and to acknowledge their light and to acknowledge their experience, but to also sometimes acknowledge that they still might not be right for us in our life. Those are tough situations. because no one wants to hurt anybody. Maybe there's still love. And yet sometimes it's just time to move on. I feel like a lot of people have that kind of, a lot of you Aquarians, right? You might be dealing with something like that. It's just an ending. It's just what happens when we go through these cycles. A lot of people aren't going to understand that. And I feel like clearly this Knight of Swords, man, he's coming out so abrasive this month. He's not. Like, there's definitely going to be some conversation or some... I feel like someone's trying to really get something from you. They're really trying to make sure you hear them for some reason. They really want you to know what their voice has to say. But you're on your own. Like, I feel like you're in a totally different mind state right now, a totally different place. And it's just like the connection is just like really not happening. And the more the connection's not happening, the more abrasive they become and the more aggressive they become. And the less you want to give. Because I don't see you being very generous toward who or whatever this is. The demanding aspect of your life, whatever that is. The demanding job, the demanding spouse, the demanding neighbor, I don't care who it is. But it's definitely creating a lot of feelings in you, King of Cups. There's certainly a lot of emotional mixture. It's not enough to just feel, though, right? Remember, we're on this like from the emotions with the cups to the actions with the wand. So it's like that bridging of the gap. This is going to stir you up for sure. But then comes all the questions of like, well, what do I do? And then there's your card, the Aquarius card upside down, and a Mercurial card, the Lovers, in upside down as well. What do I do? How can I do this? How can I deal with it? What can I say? Da 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 da. Surrender. If you can not do anything, that's best. Not in an avoidant way. I feel like I have to like keep clarifying. I'm not telling you to avoid your problems. There's a difference between avoidance and surrender, okay? But right now, I just don't know that the mental clarity is really there, because as Mercury moves into Aries, okay, it's very quickly going to come conjunct Chiron. And so this Chiron Mercury energy in Aries can just be really like a burst and boom, flash in the pan really fast. And then it will just go on doing whatever it's got to do, you know? But I see that you're at a loss. You're like coming up short in terms of solutions. You're coming up short in terms of plans. That's what happens, I think, when death shows up. You know, it's very mysterious. We don't know what tomorrow's going to look like. We don't know who we're becoming because we're changing so fast. And I think you're changing really, really fast, because it's not just Saturn and Jupiter. It's also your ruling planet in Taurus squaring some of your main planets, your moons, your ascendants, and your suns, right? Plus, we've got the trining with the North Node, so there's that too. So put down your load. There's so many things here that I think really are not your responsibility. Really, really, really not. And then, of course, we have the King of Wands, which is ultimately the place of taking action and taking steps. Now, what's interesting about the Five of Coins coming out twice, this is the motivator. When we start realizing that we're starting to fill the pot of lack or the pot of scarcity in our mental pots, our mental departments, you know, we can very easily say, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do the other thing. I'm going to start filling the pot of abundance instead. You know, and you start, you know, meditating more and you start journaling or dancing or moving your body or singing or doing creative things, and you start, that's the thing with the King of Wands, is he's got to get creative. Mars in the 5th, guys, North Node in the 5th, you got to get creative. You got to learn those new things. You got to read those new kinds of books. You got to change the patterns, because the death of all these swords is really also a death of mental patterns. You want to change your life, you got to change your energy. And you do that by changing who you are. I don't mean just because you're interested in new things, that's going to, that's all identity stuff. That's not really the level. That's a little too shallow. I'm trying to go deeper than that, okay? But, you change your energy, you change your life. And what happens very quickly when you start with the intention of, nope, I'm not going to fill that pot, I'm going to fill this one, boom, that wheel of fortune starts turning over, and boom, someone shows up with oh, here's something. Here's a little something. Here's some money. Here's a gift. Here's, an opportunity. Here's whatever, a little token as a symbol of how the Wheel of Fortune works. Because the Wheel of Fortune is always spinning and always turning. And it's not, it's not as powerful as the Tower over here. It's a lot quieter. It's more breadcrumbs. You get one little synchronicity or one phone call, and then that takes you to the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. And as long as you're doing it in a state of high vibration, it will continue to get higher and higher and higher vibrational. Yeah. It's the choice. See, when you start giving, or when you start with the outflow, which may be scary, because sometimes when we are in a restricted state, the thought of giving can be very unnerving. When we're struggling with something emotionally, or mentally, or financially, or physically, with our health or whatever, to offer to be of help. Excuse me. Sorry. That came out really weird. But to offer to be of help, or to offer to be of service, to offer a little bit of money, to offer your time, your expertise with no expectation of payment in return. To do those kinds of things can be stressful, but it's the key. It's the key to your freedom. Okay? You have to surrender. You have to let go. You have to lean back and say, well, I don't know. But I never know. Because we never know. We never know about tomorrow. So you might as well do something good today. And I do think Four of Wands is mirroring this victory card and this new beginnings card in terms of really, really, really understanding how that flow works and converting the spiritual knowledge that you have, because these are all things there's nothing new here coming out that you probably haven't already heard some guru or some yogi or some other spiritual channeler or something say. So it's not new information. It's just a matter of absorbing and familiarizing it and converting that knowledge into your own state of wisdom, your being. Because what I see, and I love the Five of Swords reversed, because to me it indicates that those toxic patterns, okay, we got a Five of Swords over here as well, that those sort of toxic patterns and those kinds of games and those kinds of petty little arguments or whatever, they seem to fall away. And even the Four of Coins, this is one of those cards that always speaks in contrasting ways depending on the context of the reading. And what I'm seeing here is maybe not so much restriction, so much as it is protecting your energy here. Protecting and when I say protecting, I don't mean protecting by setting up boundaries and barriers. I mean more protecting yourself from that kind of stuff by not talking or distancing or disconnecting or disassociating in some way, so that your light has room to get brighter. Because I'm looking at this gold in his heart, this gold on his crown chakra, and I'm just kind of feeling like there's something about light and golden light trying to shine. And we can have an open heart. You know, our heart, the more and more we stop telling ourselves all these stories, the more open our heart becomes, the more easily our past drifts away, and the more easily we can daydream and formulate and plan. Your dreams need a practical plan, you know, of what you want your world and your reality to really look like. And that will inspire small action. I like the page. I like the King of Wands, how they're coming out like this, because to me, this is like the baby steps. Here's the big picture, which can be overwhelming, which is why there's like this tornado of chaos. But he can manage the smaller steps. He's the one foot in front of the other. Same as the Eight of Cups over here, moving into that kind of unknown expanse or that moonlight there. There's, you know, but there's a sense of excitement. Because now you've kind of have this formulated idea of what, at least for now, and you can always change it later, like who cares, but at least this is going to give you some direction. It's going to give you some focus. And you can start doing it just one day at a time, just small incremental things. As Mars moves into Cancer near the end of the month on the 23rd, I think that Mars in the 6th is really going to help facilitate, you know, the small incremental actions. It's going to help you focus on, you know, getting things done and doing the small emails and getting all of the like clerk work done. Can I call it clerk work? All that kind of stuff. But it's with a sense of optimism. Because by then, probably all this stuff will have passed over. I'm going to keep the Two of Wands on top because it's that reminder to like visualize. It's the reminder to dream and to allow yourself to get swept up in the dream itself and the dream of the journey and the dream of the experience, rather than like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Wow. Okay. Because death is trying to transport you from, you know, from one state of being into the next. And you don't have to worry about how you're going to get there. We got that choice again, a lot of choices coming through. This is a blocked energy, I feel. But I know you're going to choose the Fool, because the Fool is inevitable because it's a major arcana. And you've got the new beginnings, the dawn. I like that so much, the way the sun is just kind of coming through, kind of splashing all over the mountains like that. To me, it indicates, you know, kind of an element of this natural beauty. And being such an adventurous and open-minded and open-hearted sign in general, Aquarius, it's just so much more your vibe. This is not really your vibe. I'm sorry. I don't know my Aquarian. You know, my Aquarians are just like the most fool-esque type of people ever. And, you know, it's kind of like a coming home to a childlike innocence, a naivete even. But see, he travels very light, right? Just a little bit of a knapsack. That's why this outflow is not that big of a deal. That's why if, you know, you have to give a little bit, you know, who cares? We're all going to die empty-handed anyway. Can I talk about death, right? You can't take your stuff with you. You can't take your money with you. You can't take your house with you. You're going to die empty, just as when you were born, just empty, just a blank slate. That's it. So like, you might as well just be like, okay, well, we'll give some time. We'll give some energy. We'll give some advice. We'll give some money. We'll give whatever, might as well. Who cares? Right? Who cares? Judgment. And that's that sort of epiphany. And I feel like there's this moment where everything is just going to be like, boop, click, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, it was that easy, or that was simple, or can't believe I made it so complicated. Can't believe I was so confused. How could I have been so confused? There might be that kind of a dialogue going on. Because when the right thing hits you, the right daydream, the right goal, the right ambition, or whatever, when that thing finally hits you, look, there is no amount of mental effort, right? King of Swords reversed. There is no amount of mental effort that you can exert that is going to speed this process up or make anything easier. That's why it's telling you to surrender here. You don't have to, reach up and choose any of these things, because the right thing is just going to come raining down on you. Now, I often feel with the Eight of Wands, there's two movements with the Eight of Wands. One, it's, you moving towards something, but I also feel like it's something moving towards you. In this particular context, I feel that there's something moving towards you, like it's like falling out of the sky, trickling down, coming to you. And it's going to come down as a straight shot and probably smack you in the face. Okay, these are really directed arrows, really directed wands. They know exactly where they're going. This is what happens when we kind of let the universe take the reins for a minute. This is what happens. It becomes obvious because you're finally listening to your intuition here. You're finally not convoluting things with your own perspectives and your own projections and your own traumas and your own concerns and all the things. You're finally, well, not finally, but for now, like right now, you are really in the zone, or this is a process of you getting in the zone, clearing out the noise, getting in the zone, and boom, something comes down and smacks you. And now all of a sudden, a practical plan seems easy. And this Page of Wands, taking steps forward, seems easy. And then you step into that King of Wands throne, super easy, because now all of a sudden, there's just like no problems. Look at this. I don't even know how to, it's giving me anxiety just looking at these cards, like so many swords. It's giving me anxiety because I just feel that it's choice. We can go through really, really, really hard times in life, but still choose to see it as a good thing. Guys, I just posted a health video because I was going through some health stuff, and there was a little book, and I brought it up in that video. Sorry if you've already seen it, but it's called Zen and the Art of Happiness. And I always tell people not to buy the book, but now I'm like, yeah, maybe I should go buy the book. It's actually really helped me a lot. Probably the most impactful book of my life, actually, up to this point. And it pretty much, the premise of the book is, everything that happens is the best possible thing that could happen. No matter how emotionally draining, no matter how stressful, no matter how sad it makes us, no matter how lonely we get or whatever it is, it's the best possible thing that ever could happen. And so when I see this energy of all this, I don't even want to say the words right now, but when it's so tense like that, express your gratitude for it. Express your appreciation for it. Stand in the freaking fire and be like, okay, I'm going to be in the fire. I'm going to let myself burn down. I'm going to let myself get reinvented. I'm going to let myself change because it's time. Saturn and Jupiter in your sign, y'all got to get prepared for Pluto, okay? This is preparation mode. Okay? we got a long stretch of Pluto through Aquarius coming up. So this is primer. Get ready. Embrace it. Enjoy it. Okay? And the Queen of Swords is capable of doing that. She's capable of looking at something rationally, looking at something, with clear perspective, without a lot of judgment, right? She's a Libran energy. She's able to look at things without judgment, and she can just say, this is going to work and this isn't going to work. Because at the very last card, look at this we've got a beautiful garden here. We have a card of victory and success, and we have a Chariot, which is somewhat similar to the Death card as well, because there's an element of movement and an element of going from point A to point B. The thing I love about this card is actually the stars in his canopy here, the sun on his, higher crown chakra. He's got the moon. So there's a celestial connection with his energy. There's the alignment, right, with their intuition. There's ease, because you're in the Chariot. You're not the Chariot, right? You're in the Chariot. It's transporting you. It's carrying you. And that's the whole point of the Lovers. The Garden of Eden quality. Her abundant garden here. People loving you and supporting you and cheering you on. It's not that complicated to find abundance everywhere in your life. It's gratitude and appreciation. That's it. That's the big secret. A little bit of faith, a little bit of trust goes a long, long way. Let's keep the Chariot on top. Okay. Let's pull out some oracles. Finish off this reading. Aquarius. What are the last messages for Aquarius? Friendship. Nurture your relationships. The good ones. The good ones. They're going to be more special for you now than ever. And they're under a microscope right now with Saturn. And you got to be honest, like I said before, you can have the best, kindest, most well-intentioned person, but if they're on different levels of consciousness, good intentions may or may not be good or good enough. You have to align with those that align with you, and not with where you've been, but with where you're going. Serendipity. Oh, I love that. Kind of that element of fate, that element of the perfection of cosmic chaos and cosmic order, giving each other meaning. Everything is perfect right now, Aquarius. Everything is perfect. And you'll see. Okay? All right, you guys. I love you. I wish you nothing but the best. Have an amazing April. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.